Guys, it's a good day. Bukayo Saka has signed a new contract at the Arsenal, taking him up to 2031. Welcome to the boring AFC. If you love pragmatic football and 1-0 wins, this is the place for you. But you know I'm just kidding because we ain't that, are we? I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers so I can stream live. So I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, spread the word. It helps the channel grow and it means I can keep doing things like these. But the ultimate goal is to stream live so I can talk to you guys. All right, let's talk about the main part of the video. Saka has signed a new contract at the Arsenal. It's great news for us, and it's terrifying news for the rest of the Premier League. The deal is up to 2031. It's £300,000 a week, or in excess of £300,000 a week, which I think over the next 5 years, if he sees through that contract, will be in the region of 70 plus million pounds. And he's 24 now, so by the time this contract comes to the end, he will be in his late 20s, which is kind of at the midpoint of his peak, really. So there's a lot that's going to be going on around that time for him, which could be good for us or bad for us, depending on which way he decides to look. But let's talk about the pros of that contract first. He's given us the best of his youth and the best of his peak, I think. Right, he's going to be 29 by the time that this contract is up, which means we're going to have seen the best years of him. And for him to sign a contract of that length, money aside, because I know the money's good, and we can debate whether we think he's worth it or not. I personally do. But if he's signing up until 2031 and he's going to be 29, for me, that sends a clear message that he believes in this squad and he believes in what he can achieve at Arsenal. Otherwise, why would he sign that contract? He doesn't strike me as the type of player that's just driven by money. So this seems to be a move that's very much determined by the fact that he thinks he can achieve even greater things at Arsenal. So I think from that perspective, that's really promising. It's very encouraging and it's very exciting for us. I also think that going forward, seeing someone like Saka renew a contract or sign a new contract with Arsenal will be attractive to other quality players. We're trying to create a team of incredible footballers who are going to achieve great things, and to do that, you need incredible footballers playing with other incredible footballers. And I think that that's a really good sign for us and for the team, and for potential people coming in, seeing Saka sign that contract. I also think that we're going to signing a contract of that magnitude, I think could see a shift in the way that Saka plays for Arsenal going forward. And I am talking about his positioning. We saw like a sort of a minuscule version of that against Wigan. But if Saka was to move into a more central position, say the 10, I just think that's a natural part of his progression as an elite footballer. You look at what Wenger did with Henry, moving him from the wing to up front. You look at what Cristiano Ronaldo's eventual pathway was from right wing to the centre. So for Saka to be that elite footballer, you've got to think that that's part of his natural pathway. And I think that Clive on the Arsenal Vision podcast really sort of summed this up well. If you look at a football pitch, you imagine two oblong circles, one inside the other. And the central circle of that is the brain of the team. And that's where you want your most creative and your most intelligent footballers. And that's Saka for us. And then on the outside circle, you have the brawn, you have the strength. And that's the likes of Madueke, right? So bringing Saka into a more central position puts him at the heartbeat of this team, the center of this team, as he has always been. I'll get flashbacks to that moment where he was sitting on the pitch and he put that message out where it said that Arsenal fans, you deserve better. He is part of the squad that is delivering better. And so I think it's part of his natural progression to move him into a more central position. I also think that he's versatile enough and has the credentials to do that. He's strong. He has pace. He can drive at a low block, but he can also shoot from afar or up close. And he also has the creative nuance in really tight positions to turn and hold the ball, to pass off, and he is comfortable in those positions. And so I think for the longevity of his career, but also for his pathway to potential Arsenal legend, it makes so much more sense to move him into that central position. However, there are cons to this and there is potential collateral, right? If you're moving Saka into a more central position, who's losing minutes? And the most obvious person here is Martin Odegaard, and to a lesser extent, I think probably Kai Havertz as well. And when it comes to that, you might be selling one or both of them in the summer to maneuver Saka into that more central role. And I do think that Odegaard makes the most sense. And there's also those kind of underlying rumours that just don't seem to go away that he might be off in the summer. So it might be a move that suits everyone, really. You get a reasonable sale for Odegaard. He hasn't had the best 18 months, but it is a World Cup year. So who knows? And then you can move Saka into the centre where he can be the pivotal player alongside Declan Rice, alongside Zubimendi, that really drives this team towards that next elite level and success. So in terms of July transfer business, you could be seeing an Odegaard going, maybe in a potential Havertz if the Alvarez rumours are true. I've got to be honest, that one burns me a little bit because I'm a big Kai Havertz fan. I still think there is more to come from him. Whereas I think sometimes you naturally outgrow players in the project. If you look at Zinchenko, if you look at Jesus, we couldn't believe we had them at the time, but the project is beyond them now. And there is probably an argument to be had about the project moving beyond Odegaard too, right? So I think that, we could be looking at moving one or both of Havertz and Odegaard. Someone like an Alvarez could be coming in, but then also we might be looking at another player coming in on the right wing. So there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of potentials that could happen. He also has one big contract left. This contract's going to be coming up when he's 29. So if things aren't going well, we could end up losing him for a bigger contract somewhere else. And, I kind of feel like I want to see Saka be a one-man only club. And he seems to be on that trajectory. But the next 5 years have to be good because Arsenal can hold him for the next 5 years and then risk losing him for a free. Or we come to some sort of arrangement earlier, which I think would be devastating for a lot of Arsenal fans. And the other thing with that as well is with his wages being so high, other high performing players in the team could then demand higher wages, which might halt further buys, purchases, but then might mean we have to sell players to be able to manage the wages that some of those players might demand, because you might have the likes of Rice saying, well, maybe I'm worth £300,000 a week. Gabriel, I'm worth £300,000 a week. Timber, Saliba, these players who are going to be part of this project for the long term will be looking at that and going, we are as important to this team as Saka is. They're all in the leadership circle. They're all potential captains, and they are all performing this season anyway better than he is. But I do think that what this contract signing does do is builds morale and momentum for the rest of the season. Arsenal had that result against Brentford that I think a lot of people have made out to be worse than it actually is. And we've had that dip, we've had that kind of lack of confidence. We go away, we demolish Wigan, and then just before the North London derby, we announced the new Saka contract, and we can use that as our steam train for the rest of the season. So I think it's great for morale and it's great for momentum, but on the caveat, you have to say that there is something that you have to be thinking about going forward, because it's a lot of money to invest and there are other things that could factor into that as the 5 years progress. Are we doing enough? Is his head going to be turned because of the lack of success? If there isn't any success, which, we have to be worried about as well. So all in all, it's a good day to be an Arsenal fan. Saka has signed the team. We've got him for another 5 years. The momentum going forward into the North London derby and Wolves tomorrow is going to be amazing. It's going to be high intensity. It's going to be a drive up to the Carabao Cup final. We've got a good run in the FA Cup. This is a season where Arsenal can do a lot. And this moment right here is a part of the bigger picture that projects Arsenal to that next level and to a first Premier League trophy in over 20 years. As always, thank you for watching. A reminder, I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers, so please like, please subscribe, and as always, let's go Arsenal.